Welcome back to our Parsha webcast. This week we will be reading what is known as a double portion of Nitzavim and the portion of Vayelech. This is going to be the last Shabbos of the Jewish year, and we have just a couple of more portions until we finish the entire Torah, which will conclude on Simchas Torah. But the Shabbos before Rosh Hashanah, we always read a portion of Nitzavim, and sometimes we combine with it the portion of Vayelech. These two portions. Sometimes we read Vayelech after Rosh Hashanah. And this year, we're going to read them both before Rosh Hashanah. I might mention that the Baal Shem Tov related that the last Shabbos of the year, which is, of course, the Shabbos before the New Year. Rosh Hashanah will be next Wednesday night. So this Shabbos, Nitzavim, the Shabbos that we read, the portion of Nitzavim, and we'll explain in a minute what this portion is about, is always the last Shabbos, the Shabbos before Rosh Hashanah. Normally, the last Shabbos of a month is termed Shabbos Mevorchim, the Shabbos that we bless the new moon, the new month, because we count by the moon. But the Shabbos before Rosh Hashanah, before the month of Tishrei, we do not make this blessing. We don't go up and we don't make the blessing for the new month. Why not? Says the Baal Shem Tov, because in this month, the month of Tishrei, Hashem Himself blesses the month. And with that, with God, the fact that God blesses the month of Tishrei, that gives us the ability, the koyach, the ability to bless the next 11 months of the year. Because God blesses Tishrei, we have the ability to, with that blessing, that gives us the koyach, the strength, the spiritual ability to bring about blessing for the next 11 months. So the first month God blesses, and the last 11 we bless. What is the blessing that God gives the month of Tishrei? We come in a month from now, and you'll hear the way we bless the next month. You'll hear what we say. The blessing that we say, we know. What is the blessing that God gives?
To continue.
No, but what is there? Any specific, particular blessing that He bestows upon the world, the Jewish people? What is it? Since the Baal Shem Tov doesn't leave us in the dark, he tells us. The very words, the very opening words of the Torah reading of Atem Nitzavim is the very blessing. What is the first words of Nitzavim? So let me read it for you. Atem Nitzavim, Moshe is talking. This is Moses talking. You are standing today, all of you, before Hashem your God. What is today? You are standing today. What is today? When is today?
The day when we read
August
Shabbos.
26th?
Shabbos.
Under Shabbos.
Shabbos before Rosh Hashanah, I guess.
So was Moshe talking this portion on the Shabbos before Rosh Hashanah? No, he did not say this is Shabbos before Rosh Hashanah. So the Aramaic translation translates the word Hayom as the great day of judgment. When is the great day of judgment? Rosh Hashanah. So God says in the Torah, you are standing on the day of Rosh Hashanah before all of you, before Hashem your God. He counts all the 10 categories of the Jewish people. Your heads, your tribes, your elders, your officers, all the men of Israel, your small children, your women, your convert, all 10 different categories of Jewish people. And God is saying on this Shabbos, your blessing is that on Rosh Hashanah you're all standing before God. What does standing mean?
You're not dead.
You're not dead, that's fine. But it's more than that. He's right, by the way. I'm sorry. The blessing is Nitzavim, the word Nitzavim. Anyone know Hebrew here? You know
A
Hebrew.
little.
Once there's someone is standing. How do you say it in Hebrew?
Omen.
Omen.
Atem omdim hayom. It should have said you are standing. Atem omdim hayom. Kulchem ufnei Hashem Elokeichem. You are all standing today before God your Lord. What does Nitzavim mean?
You're
The
like
choice
here.
over here of words.
Yeah.
Nitzavim means more than just
It's like
standing.
remaining.
It means standing erect,
Right.
firm.
Right.
You're standing firm. And in that lies the great blessing.
Right?
Or matzeva.
Matzeva.
Yeah.
It's a yeah, exact something. Well, Siva is a monument, but Nitzavim means you're standing firm. What God is saying is that on the day of judgment, you're all standing firm. You're all victorious in judgment. That's the blessing. God blesses us the Shabbos before in Parshas Nitzavim. That on Rosh Hashanah you're all going to be standing firm before me in the day of judgment. You will come out of this, not only you'll survive it, but you're going to stand, you'll be acquitted on all counts.
You live another year.
Not just live, but be successful with health, with wealth,
Thrive.
with thrive, exactly. Standing erect means it's like a person that was standing in front of a judge. And he's hoping, he'll get out of it, and he's begging. Standing erect means that you're victorious, a real decisive victory. And that's the blessing. So that, to begin with, is already an encouraging way to begin the last Shabbos of the year. In other words, the blessing, even before Rosh Hashanah enters, we have this blessing promise that you will be standing in a week from today erect, with firm, no problem. You'll all be victorious in judgment. Firm. Now, as I mentioned, there are two portions that we read this for a week. One portion is Nitzavim, which means standing firm. The second portion is Vayelech. What does Vayelech mean? A person that moves. So then it's interesting that these two portions
Stand and go.
are very two different themes. One talks about standing firm in one place. Standing means not moving. And not only not moving, but you're firm. It's not like you stop to pick, to catch your breath and you're moving right on. Yeah, then you're also standing. When the person's walking, he stops for a break, a second, to catch his breath, to adjust his bag, So he's standing, but he's not really standing. Nitzavim means you're standing firm. You're not moving at all. This is your station. So that's not only it's different than Vayelech, than walking and moving, but it's the very opposite of Vayelech. So we have over here essentially two portions with their very names, which represent the theme of the portion, as it is in Judaism in general. Everything that carries a name, the name that it carries, represents the theme of that thing. So the Shabbos Nitzavim Vayelech, the two portions represent opposite qualities, opposite situations. So how do they fall in one Shabbos, these two opposites? So the Rebbe explains in a Sikha, which I will teach you, that in Yiddishkeit, although these two ideas are two very different attitudes, two different opposite ideas, but you need to have both. And not only do you need to have both in two separate Shabbos, you need them both in every single, in the same day. What is the meaning of this? Nitzavim means that you're standing in one place, you're not moving. Should a person always stand in one place and not move? Certainly, how about spiritually? For sure not. Spiritually, you want to always be on the move, climbing one rung after the next, reaching higher and higher, closer and closer to God. So Vayelech seems to be the way. Vayelech means go. Vayelech, he moved. That seems to be the proper approach in Judaism, to continuously keep moving. On the other hand, Nitzavim means there are certain things in life that don't change. Nitzavim represents continuity. Continuity. Consistency. Consistency. Not continuity. Consistency. You don't change. What you do today, you do tomorrow. You do tomorrow what you did yesterday, and so on and so forth. Vayelech means that tomorrow is not like today. That you moved ahead. We need both. And not only do we need both in certain areas of our life, we need both in every area of our life, especially in all areas of Jewish life. And I'll enumerate three. The Mishnah says that the Torah, the world sustains itself on three pillars. The three pillars are Torah, the study of the Torah, Avodah, which is prayer, service of God, prayer, and Gemilut Chasadim is the third pillar, which means charity, acts of kindness, giving, and so on. So the three pillars upon which the world cannot maintain itself or sustain itself or continue without, those are Torah, prayer, and acts of kindness. In each one of these three, we see both ideas of Nitzavim Vayelech, where you need both in each one of these pillars. Let's start with Torah. What is the Torah? The Torah was given by God, right? It says, on the one hand, we'll start a step further before. There are two parts in the Torah. There's the written Torah, and there's the oral Torah. What is the difference between the written Torah and the oral Torah? Who knows the difference?
The written Torah is the exact words, and
right.
The oral Torah is the details, the explanation of exactly how and what.
Exactly. In the written Torah, the emphasis is on the words, on the language. With the Torah that you have in that Torah arc are exact. You cannot add one letter to the Torah. You add one letter and you disqualify the whole thing. You're missing one letter, again you disqualify the whole thing. You cannot kosher. Can't use it. So the written Torah is, the emphasis in the written Torah are on the words that God told Moshe to write. They have to be exact. The oral Torah is that which God told Moshe at Sinai, but it told him to pass it down orally. Those are the explanations of the mitzvahs. All the explanations. And not only that which Moshe was told by Sinai, but what every student of Torah will innovate for time immemorial, for forever and ever, that's also part of the oral Torah. Right? So we have already, in the Torah we have these two concepts of Nitzavim and Vayelech. On the one hand, the Torah stands firm. You can't change one iota of it. Every letter has to remain exactly the way God gave it. It doesn't change, budge from its place. On the other hand, you need to the Torah. In order to really accomplish and to be a student of Torah, you have to have the element of Vayelech. You continue to make progress, to move forward, to go from level to level in your understanding of Torah, the deeper and deeper, and explaining it and developing it and moving further and so on. And as the Talmud says, Kol Mashav Talmud Vosik, anything that a studious or a student of Torah will ever innovate, that too was given to Moses at Sinai. And it seems as if there's a contradiction over here. On the one hand, you're saying that this is that the student is innovating, it's a chidush, it's an innovation. But a second later you say, but that was already given to Moses at Sinai, which means it's not an innovation. You understand the question over here? It sounds like a contradiction. So how could they both be true? So over here we have an interesting thing. Till now we said that the written Torah is Nitzavim, the written Torah is that which is unchanging, and the oral Torah continues to change. The Rebbe says us to go a step further. Within the oral Torah alone you have both elements, Nitzavim and Vayelech. How? This question we just asked, is it an innovation, or was it given to at Sinai already? Make up your mind. They're both true. Why? There's no question that... Why? What does it mean that every innovation that any student of Torah will ever innovate, it was given already to Moses at Sinai?
The potential.
Oh. First of all, 1 second. Does it mean that any person can sit down with a Talmud and, and come up with new ideas? And they're all legitimate? They're all Torah? It's all part of the Torah? No. It depends very much. If that innovation remains loyal to the system that was given to Moses at Sinai. You see, at Mount Sinai, God gave Moshe 3 things. He gave him the written Torah, which are the 613 commandments as they're written in the whole written Torah. But then he gave him a second thing, which was the explanations of all these mitzvahs. So, for example, when it says, "I want you to write it on your doorpost," which is the mezuzah, he didn't tell him it should be these 2 portions, and exactly it should be written with black ink and on parchment. He didn't say that to him. It's not written in the Torah. That he said to him orally. That he explained to him every mitzvah. So that's the second thing he gave him, the explanations of every mitzvah. The third thing he gave him was 13 principles. Well, in some places it speaks about 32 principles. Those 13 are subdivided into 32 and some even. 13, let's remember the number 13. 13 principles, methods by which later scholars can come and extrapolate and interpret the words of the Torah. And those 13 principles, those 13 methodologies are the basis of all future rabbinic innovations in Torah. So what happened? Essentially what we're saying is, what does it mean that what the future student will innovate was already given to Moses at Sinai? Did God tell Moshe that specific innovation? Of course not. And that's why it's considered an innovation of the later student. But it was given to Moshe in the sense that the principles by which you came up with this innovation were all given to Moshe at Sinai. So in potential, all those innovations were there.
Foundation.
There's the principles by which you can extrapolate and build and innovate were all given to Moshe at Sinai. You cannot, if it's not loyal to that system, it's not part of the Torah. So within that framework, if you innovate, it's your innovation, but you can always refer it back to Moses because it's based on the principle, the Mosaic principles. what we have over here is that within the oral Torah itself, we have the Nitzavim Vayelech combination. On the one hand, it's Vayelech. Vayelech means innovation, moving forward, coming up with new ideas, not staying with the same, not saying, yesterday's knowledge is today's knowledge. No, if you what you know yesterday is good for yesterday. Today you have to go further and innovate further. So Vayelech is an absolutely crucial aspect to Torah students, to Torah study. On the other hand, if that Vayelech is not based on the firm principles, the Nitzavim of those principles, the firm principles that were given to Moshe, it's not considered an innovation. In fact, it's not considered Torah at all. So on the one hand, you have to have Nitzavim. Nitzavim and Vayelech can either be the firm, unchanging element of Torah, and the movement, and the innovation, and the development, and the moving forward of Torah could be seen as the written Torah and the oral Torah. If you want, you can say within the oral Torah itself, the principles, those foundational principles that were given to Moshe are the Nitzavim. Those cannot be changed. But then based on those principles, you can now have Vayelech till for eternity. And if God forbid you separated these two portions, that's the point of it. These two portions come together. I'll show you even more. It says that these two, how many portions of Torah are there? Anyone know? 53.
Okay.
53 portions.
Almost like a deck of cards.
53 portions. Sometimes, how many Shabbosim in the year do we have? 52, maximum. But even amongst those 52, you can't always read a Torah. Some of them come out on Sukkot. There's another portion, Shabbos, that's necessarily Pesach. And then we don't read the regular portion. So you end up with about 48 weeks, 49 weeks where you can read the order of portions. How do you have, what do you do? But you have 53 portions. You got to fit 53 into 49 weeks or 48. How do you do that? So there are a number of portions that you bind together. You say, this week we're going to read a double portion. For that reason. So that every year we finish the whole Torah. So you take two separate portions, you bind them together. It's interesting that if you will count from Bereshis till V'zeis HaBracha, you will find 54 portions, not 53. Did you know that? Take out a Chumash tonight and count. You'll see I'm right. There's 54, not 53. Why do the rabbis tell this? They always say 53. The answer is that Nitzavim Vayelech are really one portion. That one portion. It's only that sometimes we separate them. See, the other times when the two portions in one Shabbos, we took two separate portions and combined them. Nitzavim Vayelech is that one situation where they're really one portion. But some years, if Yom Kippur doesn't fall out on Shabbos, then you separate Nitzavim and Vayelech, and you break them into two. They're really one, they break them into two. The other double portions are really two that we bunched and made one. In other words, Nitzavim Vayelech, I want to emphasize there, that these two ideas of Nitzavim Vayelech that we're now expressing in the written Torah and the oral Torah, within the oral Torah alone, that one portion, if you can never say, these two portions, these two ideas must always be together. You want to innovate in Torah, you have to have Nitzavim. You have to be loyal to the unchanging principles. Those are never to be separated. That's in Torah. How about in prayer? What I just said, by the way, I was trying to emphasize that these two are parallel portions that must remain always together. You can never have one going ahead of the other. As soon as you have a innovation, you have to make sure it's loyal to the Nitzavim, to the unchanging principles. You have to be very careful with that. How about in prayer?
The same thing?
Where do you see Nitzavim, the two elements of firm, unchanging prayer, and at the same time a Vayelech attitude, a always changing attitude in prayer? If you take a look in the prayer book, and people always tell this to me, Rabbi, it's so boring. Every day the same words, the same prayers. Can't we say today one thing and tomorrow something else, and come up with a different form of prayer and something else? We always daven the same thing. It never changes. And that's true. On the one hand, you look in the prayer book, there's a certain element of Nitzavim. It stands firm in one place, it doesn't budge. On the other hand, what is the whole idea of prayer?
Focusing on different areas.
Prayer is the service of the heart. It's the service of the heart.
It's the way you pray.
The service of the heart is, by definition, it's an emotional experience and attachment to God. It's not this monotonous, lifeless, thing that you just mumble off and you say because that's what you have to do.
Sure.
In prayer, you have to have, you watch a chassid pray on a Shabbos or a regular weekday. He's saying the exact same words he said yesterday. Nothing changed.
He's thinking different.
But his heart and his mind and his whole existence is flowing. It's free flowing. Within the words that he has not changed, there's waves of change. His heart is moved today completely different than it was moved yesterday. And even in your own, let's not take high-level prayer. All of us, there's no question that in today's Ashrei meant something different than yesterday's Ashrei. Ashrei is one of the praises that we say during prayer. We said the same words. They mean something different. Your experience has changed. Everything changed. So your prayers change. The feelings change. The intention change. Everything changes.
The words are just a vehicle.
Right? The words are a vehicle. But it's a vehicle that cannot be changed. That cannot be tampered with. Why not? Here's the reason. You tell a human being, talk to God. He doesn't know what to say. You start to talk to God. Go meet him. Go talk to him. We're lost. We're at a loss for words. We're at a loss for ideas. We don't know where to begin, where to end. So the Torah, the great sages of the Sanhedrin formulated a set of prayers that cover all bases. The Amidah, for example, covers all bases. And in that sense, they knew what we have to say. And you can't change it because prayer means, these words mean something different on different levels. Every level means something else. So you think you're changing the words because in Hebrew it sounds like you can change it, but on a higher level you just messed up the whole mutation. You understand? So the rabbis, the sages, the great tzaddikim knew what prayers have to be said every day. But what you do within those prayers, that's the world is, the sky is the limit. You can be moving up and up and up, Vayelech, that there's no end. I'll give you an example within prayer itself, within the Amidah, for example. The first three blessings of the Amidah and the last three blessings, right? We say every day of the year, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Monday, Tuesday, Purim, Pesach, they're always the same. They never change. The middle 13, over there we find change. On Shabbos we don't say them, in the weekdays we do say them, on Yom Tov we say something else. In the middle ones we change. There's Nitzavim Vayelech within the prayer itself. Certain parts remain firm, they never change. Others do, and certain prayers do change. So in prayer we also have these two elements, and you must have both. If you begin to start free-flowing and you leave the foundations of the words that the rabbi set up for us, you're going to be all over the place. It's not going to be prayer anymore. On the other hand, if you're going to just say the words robotically, you just mumble them off in it, then what is it? It's an empty vessel. You have to have the vessels. But in those vessels, you can put in a whole different set of lights.
One question.
Yeah.
Could we consider Hitbodedut as a different kind of
Hitbodedut means what? Explain to me what Hitbodedut means.
Personal prayer.
Personal prayer.
Personal prayer?
Yeah.
In your own language? I'll answer you. It's a good question. That is a legitimate form of prayer, but only in the context of, in other words, if you said the prayers that we say every day, then you add it, and you want to say your own request to God, on your own terms, that's the Vayelech. Be my guest, for sure. But it has to be attached to the Nitzavim. These two portions are one portion. You have to always remember that. Because the minute we start doing our own thing, not based on the foundations of Nitzavim, on those firm foundations of Nitzavim, your Vayelech is totally all over the place. It's without any attachment to Hashem. It loses its connection. It's like an electrical current. It has to be connected to the base. Only then does it give power to the rest of all the different machines that you're connecting it to. You pull it away from the base, you can have the nicest gadgets and the nicest machines and the nicest everything. You pull the plug out of that firm base and everything shuts down. So you have to plug in to Nitzavim, to the firm foundations of prayer, of Torah.
And the Milut Chasadim.
Mhm.
I said Milut Chasadim.
Mhm.
In Milut Chasadim you also have it. A certain basis of tzedakah. And then there's the additions. You can add, you can grow from that. But I want to also say how that in the performance of mitzvahs in general, which it says that Gemilut Chasadim is a general term for all the mitzvahs. So in mitzvahs we also find these two elements. How many mitzvahs do we have? 613. If a sage comes and says, today I was told by God to add a 614th, you have to stone him. He has to be put to death. Not today. In the days of the Sanhedrin, such a person was considered so dangerous to the community because he can undo the whole Judaism. So he's deserving of the death penalty. Today we don't have such a method, obviously, because we don't have the Sanhedrin, so that's obsolete for now. Or forever, because when Mashiach comes, no one's going to have to be stoned anyway. We'll all serve God in unison. So that is no longer in existence. But the severity, I meant to bring out the severity of such a thing. The minute you tamper with the Torah, with the mitzvahs, and you add on your own, you've violated the whole covenant. So on the one hand, the mitzvahs are very, very clear, very, very determined, very, very, firmly established as 613, no more.
Defined.
And within every mitzvah itself, there are parameters of the mitzvah, the tefillin boxes. For example, the mitzvah of eating matzah on Passover. There are very, very strict parameters how this is done, what a matzah consists of. If you throw into the matzah eggs, you can no longer use it for the first night of Pesach. If you mix into the batter, into the mixture of the water and flour, you mix in eggs, it no longer can be used as a matzah for the Seder. Or if you ate a matzah that was too small in measure, it's not considered as having eaten matzah on Pesach. And if you throw in a little bit of yeast, oh my goodness, the whole thing is leavened bread. So every mitzvah has strict, unchanging, firm parameters that you must remain loyal to them. On the other hand, take a look at our mitzvahs. You ever went to a kosher store to buy matzah? You can buy this level matzah, that great matzah, that level matzah. You can pay the $20 matzah, you can pay the $30 matzah, you can pay the $15 matzah from the Ukraine, from Israel, from Borough Park, from here, from there. What in the world is going on of it? It's all the same. No, it was watched from the moment they harvested it, and that matzah is not so expensive because they only watched it from the time that it was mixed with the flour. or grind it.
Are they all shmura matzah, even though they're not watched from the day you see the...
So there's different levels within Shmura.
Okay. Oh my God.
You ever went to the Esrog store before Sukkot? We're going to be doing that next week. You got the deluxe, you have the simple, the basic, you have the Italy one, you have the Israel one, you have the basic.
Jews.
It doesn't end. Vayelech. It moves one level to the next, to the third, to the fourth. You can buy for $500 an Esrog. You didn't know that, right?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we
When
did.
went,
Yeah, that's right.
when we went to the
$600.
Esrog.
So $600 Esrog.
I thought it was more than that.
Maybe
It was like 2,000.
Yeah, I thought it
I don't
was
remember
1,000.
seeing that.
He
And the
wouldn't
same
even take
thing
it out of the
is
box.
with every single mitzvah. Every single mitzvah it's like that. Within the mitzvah alone, there's different levels. The kashrus, oh my goodness. I don't need that, and I don't need this, and I only eat chicken, I only eat that, and from this shchita, from that supervision. There's no end.
Mind-boggling.
Within the firm, on the one hand, every mitzvah is firm. There's the halachic parameters, but then you can build on that. Go beyond the letter of the law, higher and higher and higher. So there's hidur mitzvah. Hidur mitzvah means the beautification of a mitzvah. Over there is vayelech. But what happens if you start beautifying the mitzvah, but you're starting to compromise on the basic parameters? You have vayelech without nitzavim.
No,
On the other hand, nitzavim without vayelech is monotonous. It's not, Hashem wants you to be passionate about your relationship with Him. He doesn't just want you to do the basic, you can get away with it, yeah, and you've done the mitzvah. But you lack passion, you lack love, you lack havana, it's hidur. You should do it with a little more excitement. So Nitzavim Vayelech are two elements, two portions that are really one, that we read the last Shabbos of the year, or the first Shabbos of the year. Vayelech, sometimes Nitzavim is the last Shabbos, and Vayelech would be the first Shabbos after Rosh Hashanah. If Yom Kippur doesn't fall on Shabbos, then Vayelech is...
So the double portion is always only when Yom Kippur's on Shabbos.
No, actually, no, I take that back. It's either when Yom Kippur is on Shabbos, or Rosh Hashanah falls on Shabbos.
Oh, okay.
But if both, your Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur fall in the middle of the week, then you have a Shabbos between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and you have a Shabbos between Yom Kippur and Sukkot, so then you have an extra Shabbos there, so you have to throw in Vayelech over there. So Nitzavim is separate from Vayelech. But this year it's going to be together. But either way, we always read it around Rosh Hashanah, because these two portions, the two concepts of Nitzavim and Vayelech, have to remain bound together. And even when we have to separate it, we're separating essentially one portion. Because this idea of remaining firm, loyal to the basics of the Torah, to the foundations of the Torah, to the words of the Torah. On the other hand, you have to have the innovation in Torah, same thing in prayer. You have to be loyal to the firm order of prayer, but you have to experience Vayelech in the Kavanah and your adding, and same thing with mitzvahs. You have to remain firm to the parameters, but you have to build on that to no end. There's no end to that. So may Hashem help that we should get there, we should experience the blessing of Hashem this Shabbos. Atem nitzavim hayoim kulchem, you stand today firm. And Vayelech, He's going to give us the blessing of Vayelech, that we should be able to move forward in our relationship with Hashem and in our commandments and our observance of the commandments and the study of Torah with success. That we should all be inscribed and sealed for a bountiful year, a good year and a successful year with health, wealth, and time to enjoy them both. And ultimately, the greatest blessing of all would be the coming of Mashiach. May it happen today.
Amen.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you again in Mirz Hashem next Monday night for a Rosh Hashanah class.